Hey everyone, welcome back to the series where we make Python strings super easy. If you're just joining us, be sure to check out my last two videos on string indexing and left to right string slicing. Those will give you a solid foundation. Today, we're diving into something a little trickier but super useful. Slicing strings from right to left. Let's get started. Slicing in Python helps programs easily access and manipulate parts of a string. Recall that string slicing allows us to extract a specific portion of text from a string using this simple and powerful syntax. String refers to any variable that holds a string value. Stat is the index where the slice begins, inclusive. Stop is the index where the slice ends, exclusive. And step is the interval between characters in the slice. For example, print slice text from 1 to 4 stepping by 2. In this example, the step is positive. Therefore, Python reads the string moving left to right and the output is YH. Now let's move on to slicing strings from right to left. Left to right string slicing, also called backward string slicing, means accessing characters of a string from the end toward the beginning. It is used to reverse strings, extract slice from the end, or skip characters in reverse order. To successfully perform backward string slicing in Python, there are two important conditions we need to follow. First, we must choose a negative step value. This tells Python that we want to move through the string in reverse order, from right to left. Second, the starting index must be greater than the stopping index. These two conditions work together to guide Python through the string in reverse, just like flipping through the pages of a book from the back to the front. In Python, we can slice strings from right to left using slice syntax. This lets us extract specific part of a string based on their position. There are three main options for doing this: using negative indexes, using positive indexes, or combining a positive index with a negative one. Understanding these options help us write more flexible and powerful string operations. So let us start with the first option, slicing with negative indexes. Negative indexes are commonly used in right-to-left string slicing. This is because negative indexes offer a convenient and intuitive way to reference characters, starting from the end of the string. Negative indexes count from the end of the string toward the beginning, with the last character indexed as -1, the second last as -2, and so on. The slicing syntax stays the same using the format start, stop, step. But with negative values, the direction and position from which characters are selected are reversed. Let's explore a simple example of left-to-right string slicing in Python using negative indexes. Text equals Python. This assigns the word Python to the variable named text. Now take a look at the next line. Print slice text from -1 to -4 stepping by -1. At first glance, this might look a bit confusing, but let's break it down. In Python, when we slice a string, we use this format: start, stop, step, like this. In our example, the start is -1, which means we begin at the last character of the string, that's the letter N. The stop is -4, which tells Python to stop just before the character at index -4. That character is H. And remember, the stop index is not included. The step is -1, which means we're moving right to left through the string, one character at a time. So starting from N, we move from right to left. First we get N, then O, then H, and we stop before reaching T. This gives us the substring no H. So when we run the code, the output is no H. In this example, we sliced the string from right to left without skipping any characters. Now let's explore a case where skipping occurs. Print slice text from -1 to -4 stepping by -2. In this example, -1 is the start index. It refers to the last character, which is N. -4 is the stop index. Since the stop index is not included in the Python slicing, we stop before reaching index -4, which refers to the character T. -2 is the step. This means we move two characters at a time in right to left direction because the step is negative. Notice that the start index is greater than the stop index and the step is negative. This tells us we are performing a reverse slice, moving from right to left through the string. So let's walk through what happens. We start at index -1, which is n. This character is included. Then we move 2 steps backward, skipping O and landing on H. At index -3, H is also included. We stop before reaching index -4, so T is not included. The result is NH. When executed, this code returns NH as output. Here's an extra note on skipping. In left-to-right string slicing, Python skips step -1 characters between each selected character. In right-to-left slicing, when the step is negative, the number of characters skipped is the absolute value of the step -1. For example, if the step is -2, the absolute value is 2 and 2 minus 1 is 1, so 1 character is skipped each time. Now that we've explored how negative indexes enable us to access characters from the end of a string, let's shift gears and examine how positive indexes facilitate right-to-left string slicing. Remember, positive indexing is used to access characters in a string from the left. The first character is at position 0, the second at 1, and so on. In this example, slicing a string from index 5 to index 2 with a step of -1 is a right-to-left slicing operation. Though it might seem a bit tricky at first, the key is that the start index is greater than the stop index and the step is negative, which are the required conditions for slicing in reverse. To help you understand how this works, let's first look at how Python runs these 2 examples. The variable text stores the word Python. Print slice text from 5 to 2 stepping by -1. Print slice text from -1 to -4 stepping by -1. Pay attention to the output. Python gives the same result for both of these slices, which is the substring NOH. This is how Python uses positive and negative indexes to access characters in the string Python. Now let's look at the 2 print statements one by one. In the first example, stat equals 5, which means that the slicing operation begins at index 5. That gives us the letter N. Stop equals 2, which means we stop just before index 2, so we don't include it in the result. Step is -1, so the slice moves backwards through the string. We start at N, which is index 5, then move to O at index 4, and then to H at index 3. This explains why the first print statement outputs NOH. Now let's move to the second example. Slicing the text from index -1 to index -4 with a step of -1. We go from N at index -1 to O at index -2, then to H at index -3, and we stop before reaching index -4, so Python prints NOH. The output is the same in both cases because each positive index in the string has a corresponding negative index. The backward slicing operation works correctly whether you use positive or negative indexes. As long as the step is negative, the start index is greater than the stop index and their position is valid. Finally, let's move on to right-to-left string slicing using a combination of positive and negative indexes. If you understood the previous 2 examples well, you should be able to figure out the print statement that extracts the substring NOH from the string Python using a positive start index and a negative stop index. Can you figure it out? Let's solve it together. To get the substring NOH, we first need to start with the letter N. What is the positive index that allows us to get N in the string Python? It is 5, the last index. Now we want to slice in reverse until we reach the letter H. What should be the negative stop index to use? And remember, the stop index is not included in the result. So we need to find the index just after H in left to right order. H is at index 3, so the next character T is at index 2, which correspond to -4 from the end. So our final print statement is print text from index 5 to index -4 in reverse order. Now let's try running it in Python. And that's the code in action. Quick recap coming up. In this video, we explored the fundamentals of right-to-left string slicing in Python. focusing on examples that utilized both negative and positive indexes, as well as their combination. If you found this content helpful, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.